Is this good? You like it?
Oh my gosh.
I'm not a very good model. I just love it a lot.
He's looking at me like, what's happening?
She hung up on me. That was a hang up for sure.
I don't know, and this is our, like, we're pretty good with him. They're the first dogs that we've owned, so I'm sure there's things we could be doing better. I just want to know how to better prepare him so he's not kind of housebound. Seems like there could be more options available to him. But I just want to set him up for success, especially as he gets older.
Yeah, understood. Okay. Well, we can definitely help you out with these things. So a lot of times what we'll see in these types of situations is, like the daycare example, for example, like that, it doesn't excuse the behavior necessarily, but like you were saying, like anytime like when two dogs are kind of getting into it with each other and we try to physically step in and restrain a dog or separate them or whatever it may be, I always say we run the risk of a bite happening in that situation. Like I've been bitten. Yeah, I mean, yes. And past the entire situation, like we could talk, to the moon about like why that dog fight wound up happening in the first place, obviously. And yeah, a lot of it has to do with, the situation of, most of those daycares are just very unstructured. And when you put that many dogs together and something happens, it's like things happen very quickly, But, as far as, like I said, the bite is concerned, like, we'll chalk that one up as, like I said, we just refer to that as, like, a redirected bite. Like, that's happened to me numerous times before, it's not a mark against the dog, in my opinion, with those types of things, And a lot of daycares, especially when they're dealing with that many dogs, they have to be safe, obviously, about the dogs that they're letting in, and they're very quick to kick dogs out for those reasons. And unfortunately, what it does is it puts a false kind of perception in the owner's head sometimes of, like, do I have an aggressive dog? Oh my God, my dog bit somebody, my dog got in a dog fight, this, that. Where most of those dogs are perfectly fine in, like, one-on-one situations or one-on-two situations or smaller groups and stuff. So that one I'm not concerned about. That one will kind of chalk to the side. As far as, some of the behavioral issues you're seeing, the chasing cars, the barking out the window, the resource guarding issues towards other dogs, again, we could debate all day long as far as why he's doing those things, what sort of trauma may have ultimately led to those things in the past, et cetera, right? But in the end of the day, I always say we look at the behavioral issues that we're dealing with, and regardless of what ultimately caused them, the way that we work through them is going to be the same regardless of that, right? So, and, because, frankly, dogs don't really dwell on the past from the standpoint of, like, even if a lot of things did ultimately happen to him, the fact that he's exhibiting these behavioral issues and stuff are just due to the fact that he's learned that they work in accomplishing something.
Let's go train some dogs. Small says ball is life. One time I was at Greg Murray's like book release party or whatever, like across the way, and Scott from Evolution Canine was there. And we were talking, and I was with one of my friends, and my friend was like, oh yeah, I just really think that this dog has a really good personality. And Scott was like standing like this. He's like, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit there when you said a dog had a personality. All right, guys, back here again with another vlog. I'm back. I'm no longer sick. I'm here to do the vlogging for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the staff takeover episode that we did.
A lot of fun, obviously. So a couple things we're getting into right off the rip today. So obviously we had some phone calls, had some office work. I'm kind of catching back up on some things that I missed while I was gone. We are in the process of getting into like end of year reviews for everybody. So there's going to be some breaks in the day today where we have to step in and do some different staff reviews and stuff. And then in addition to that, unfortunately, we don't repeat things for views. All right. And in addition to that, unfortunately, our board and train trainer, Chastity, is no longer with us. She decided she wanted to move in a little bit different of a direction, spend a little bit more time at home with her family, obviously. So I am going to be taking over some of her board and train dogs and finishing out the remainder of their programs while they're here. So today, one of my big goals is to take a look at each one of those dogs, get kind of a general assessment of where they're at, and kind of come up with a game plan for the remainder of their program on how to take over. And kind of end those programs nice and smoothly with the dogs. Obviously, we just started with Molly here, just kind of getting her into the groove of working with things. And one of the cool things about our training program and cool things about the way that we kind of structure it out and the way we go about the teaching stages with things is because we have a pretty concrete program. No matter what happens, if somebody's sick for a little bit or somebody's out of town for a little bit or somebody leaves or this or that, we kind of have a way that we could test each one of these dogs when we go to work with them to see where they're at with their training, so there's no lapses in the program or anything. Now, one thing that I like to do when I'm in this type of position is I like to take a grain of salt as far as I don't have a relationship with any of these individual dogs, so even though they may be at a stage where we're proofing commands or we're working at higher levels on the e-collar and stuff, my first couple of sessions with them is really going to be focused on motivating the dog and getting the dog to trust me a little bit. So with Molly, we were not very hard on her. She's a little apprehensive with new people, so she was a little slower and more hesitant with me, especially with that come command. So I didn't use really high levels on the e-collar or anything. Frankly, I was just working at a 2 the entire session here just to make sure we were being consistent with how we were giving the information, but I wanted to focus on building that confidence and getting her developing that motivation in working with me. So that'll be cool to see as we kind of take out some of these dogs and kind of get a general idea on where they're at with stuff. All right, so we're just taking a look at some of the walking stuff here. Again, trying to be fairly easy on her. This is the one place, no, come, where I'll have to kind of increase those levels a little bit, obviously, and compete with some of those outside distractions. All right, so what we're doing right now is very similar to what we did the other day with Lucy, is we were introducing the prong collar where we were doing the 180 turns with the leash pop for attention. The only difference here, how's it going? Good. The only difference here is we're adding in our e-collar pressure for that turn as opposed to the leash pop. So I'm still staying nice and loose on the leash, and I'm walking, and if I feel like I've lost attention, I'll make that turn. And I want to see on that turn that she turns with me just like that. Obviously, if she does not, that's where we would give that leash correction for that. Very good. So nice turns there with me. So what we'll do next is we're going to start experimenting with some speed changes to kind of test where her attention is. So for this, I like to work on speeding up, making sure she's matching that pace, and going from a really fast pace to a really slow pace, and making sure that she's matching that with me. So again, we'll do that again, where we speed up. Could almost even go into like a light jog, and then go from that to nice and slow and controlled. No, come. And making sure that pace is getting matched. And we'll work that a couple more times here. Now these are more advanced proofing techniques. Again, because she's already a decent ways through her program, we're able to work on these types of things. Again, I have not worked with her before, which is why she's a little hesitant with some of it, but because she's had a lot of this training, she's falling into the groove really, really nicely with it. So we'll try that again here. We'll go quick pace. Come on. It's a nice slow pace. And that's what I want to see, that she slows to meet that pace. And even if we were to add a stop into that, we want to see her match that pace exactly like that. Come. Try that one more time. So again, quick, slow. And that's okay that she got a foot, half a foot ahead of me right there, as long as her attention stays on me. Like we talked about in the Lucy video, the heeling is not about the attention, right? The heeling is about, the heeling is not about the physical position. The heeling is about the attention here. So this looks fantastic. So we're gonna end that on that. Again, I have a good baseline now of where her interior obedience and her walking work is at. Come on, little pup. Come on. Let's go. I know, it's so exciting. All right, so next up, Lucy here. Lucy is my personal board and train, but since I've been out for a little bit here, we're gonna be kind of checking in on where she's at with her training. So right now, she's still on just her basic leash pressure work, so we're still just kind of shaping everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on, good, getting her into those sits. Good, which she's doing very good with those, obviously. Okay, then we'll add the beds back in. Good. And with our leash pressure stages of things, my expectation, okay, is simply that I can smoothly get her into position if I need to. So that doesn't mean that she's responding to verbal commands or anything yet. Good, that just means she's starting to understand these visual positions of me moving towards the bed with the leash pressure, me stopping and pressuring into sits, et cetera, okay? Which again, she's checking those boxes here, so we're just gonna confirm that she looks good with all of this. Good, and she's very close to starting the e-collar pressure stages then after that, okay? Do a couple on this one. Same deal, just pressuring in that direction, good. And making sure that with minimal resistance, I can get her to get into command, okay? Good. Try one more, okay? Very good though. Good motivation as well. Good. Okay. Get that camera out of my face. I know. All right, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the downs here. Now downs can be one of the trickiest commands for dogs. We teach it the same way with our leash pressure, obviously, where we're using downward pressure on that leash, teaching her to heed to it and get into the position, but it can be very challenging for a lot of dogs because essentially asking a dog when they're feeling pressure to do something submissive can be quite counterintuitive to what's natural to them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with just nice, gentle pressure down. Good. And if she gets into that down position, we'll mark with good, we'll reward, okay, and then release her right away out of it. Now, when she first got here, I did a handful of these, so obviously she looks fairly smooth with it. We'll see if she gives us resistance as we persist. Obviously, you remember with Callie took much longer to figure this out. Good. Now, initially, you'll see, okay, I'm just bringing that reward right to her. I'm not even making her stabilize, really. I'm just focused on as soon as she gets into that down, good. Getting that food from here, can you see this? From here to there as quick as possible to not give her, okay, any chance to pop up out of that position and meet me halfway. You'll see as she gets better with this, we'll start progressively asking a little bit more. Okay, so next what we're gonna do, now that she's showing a pretty good understanding of this, is we're gonna start asking for a little stability. So once she gets in that down, I'm gonna take this food, hold it over her head for a second, same deal, make sure she's not meeting me halfway, good. Then mark with good and give it to her. Okay. How'd it go? Good.
Where's your baklava?
You know what? It's too hot.
Yeah? Oh. What's it called? Oh, that. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Did you just like drop it in the snow?
Yeah, I thought I put it in my pocket as I was getting into my car, and it dropped in the snow, and I didn't know. So I was like, I lost my phone. I have no idea where it's at, and it was in my neighbor's driveway because I was picking him up, and and they snow blowed their driveway, and they're like, yeah, we just thought we hit some ice, and then come spring, all the snow melts, and my phone is just scattered along their yard.
Same. Did you get that one?
Did you get that one?
Come. Here, I'll just leave them open so you get it better. Did you get that one? Come. How about that one? Come. Awesome. That looked really good. Good. Come. I went to go get some food out of his bin, and I opened the food bin for half a second to go get a scoop out, and his head just dove straight into the bin. Good. All right, so new guy here. Okay, starting some leash pressure stuff. Getting him acclimated to the pinch. Good. Obviously plenty food motivated, so that should not be an issue for us here. Okay. Good. Okay, big old dopey face.
Good. So right now we're just starting the initial shaping of the heel position with him. So he literally just got here like a day or two ago, so we're kind of introducing the prong collar. Luckily he has pretty good food motivation right off the rip because he's a puppy, obviously. So upstairs, that initial training of shaping our bed commands worked really well, and you'll kind of see obviously with the bed stays we worked through some of those hurdles and we utilized that leash pressure to get him past some of those fears he had of getting onto the bed, and then ultimately got him to a place where he was doing it on his own, which was great. So we're doing the same thing with heeling right now. We're just shaping that general position, making sure he understands generally where we want him to be out on the walk, obviously. And it looks pretty good so far.
Where's the tea?
Wait a minute.
Should I not film?
No, you can film.
What, are you gonna tell us or what?
I think that Mr. Say It Once Dog Training is copying our content. Guess what he just made? Let's listen to this. Let's see what it has to say. Okay, so I've never in my life heard anybody else describe the process of feeding their dog the way that I describe it. Right now, I'm not saying that I
thought the same thing when I saw that.
I'm not saying that I created this extraordinary, unbelievable method of feeding dogs or anything, right? That's not what I'm saying here. But I will say that I don't think anybody articulates it quite the way that I do. Let's listen to this. Did you see this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Were you gonna work more with Ruby, or can I give her food? You can give her food. And then
So just me putting the bowl down doesn't mean that
Thank you.
All right, let's see.
dogs should wait before they eat. So just me putting the bowl down doesn't mean the dog should put their head into the bowl right away. But the problem is a lot of these dogs that are waiting can only do so if the human does it in that routine that they taught it. For instance, they tell the dog to sit, they take the bowl and they put the bowl down on the ground, the dog makes eye contact, they release, and that's great. But if you try to change that routine up, that dog breaks every single time because they're just so used to that one routine. I want you to change the way you feed your dog. So instead of me just putting him in a sit, maybe I put him on place. Maybe I'll put him in a down 15 feet further away than I used to, and watch how much that distance starts to screw with your dog because he wants to get up to there. Sometimes I won't put my dog in a sit at all. I won't tell him to command. I'll just put the food down and I won't let him go to it until he's told. And then other times I'll use door threshold training. I'll put them behind a specific door. If I have one close by, maybe it's the outside door and I have the front door open, and I won't let them come into the house. I'll get their food ready, put it down, free, then they can go eat their food. But change up the routine and see if your dog can hold it. And
That's it? All right. So here's the thing. Right? First off, let's not overcomplicate the feeding process here. We don't have to do 9,000 different fucking routines to get our dog to wait. You could use one routine and you could stick to it, right? Here's the thing though, right? If you're gonna say that you're gonna do all of these different forms of waiting and like sits and place commands and downs 15 feet away from the bowl and this and that, and then suddenly you're gonna take this one-off example where you're not gonna give the dog a command and then you're gonna correct them if they go for the bowl, then that starts becoming unclear and that starts getting a little tricky for the dog to understand. Why wouldn't you just do it that way all the time? I don't understand. I know, it's exciting. All right. Where are we at with stuff?
So overall, he's doing well. It's just still the anxiety with other dogs, I think.
Socialization, I know you said you wanted to do. We could do that.
And I feel like when I'm around, he's just constantly coming next to me, and he's not even trying to engage with other dogs.
How often do you try to socialize them like yourself?
With
Other dogs?
see, without me, he's I think okay.
Yeah.
So that's yep.
Yeah, but what I mean is like how often do you actually have him interacting with other dogs where you are present?
Probably now with the weather, maybe once a week. But in the spring and summertime, we have friends and everything that they have dogs.
Do they come over the house with the dogs? Or?
Not over the house, like we have like certain areas that we take the dogs to go play
I gotcha.
and everything. That being said, the dogs are smaller, he feels much more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Anything that is larger, like not even that big, but about that size, he'll probably scurry away from. He just is afraid or anything larger than him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we'll do some socialization today. So why don't you go ahead and take him off of his leash, and we'll start right away. We'll bring some dogs out, kind of see what we get. I'm kind of purposely starting without doing any sort of commands or anything, because I want him to really just like open up and realize we're not going to ask you to do anything. All I care about is you just kind of interacting. Look at that. Couple scruffy guys there for him. Got the curly boys. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is good. Get him playing here. Yeah, right? His little back legs quivering. He's such a weenie. Now, obviously, that's not aggression or anything. That's just him trying to figure out how to play. That's always our rule, like when we're socializing our dogs, is you gotta just let them do it, you know? Yeah, it's a good way. Don't get involved in their world. Like, they know what they're doing right now, you know, and they'll figure it out. And just ignore him as well, obviously, because any sort of interaction of like telling him, like trying to encourage him to go off and play is just gonna get construed by him as like, you're giving me attention, you know, which will just keep him glued up to you.
Come on, you weenie, let's play. He's like, oh.
All right. I think, you know, again, I think we saw a lot in that session. I think that was progress regardless of how uncomfortable he still may have ended with, from the standpoint of we got him interacting, we got him going out sniffing more, right? And we got somebody to kind of push his buttons enough to start to kind of get him to move out of his shell a little bit, you know? The biggest thing I want to start to see with him as we continue to do this is the retreating back to you every time. You know what I mean? Once he realizes that he doesn't have to do that, that's where a lot of kind of the progress is really going to start happening, you know? And, you know, it's interesting with socialization, confidence in socialization comes from a lot of places. And one of those places is the dog realizing that they can communicate, right? That they kind of have a voice in things, like amongst all of kind of the chaos and everything that's happening with this. So even that kind of reactivity and stuff that we're seeing out of him realizing he can do, you know what I mean? Like, you could do that. Like, he's not doing anything wrong necessarily by doing it. He's just exhibiting to the other dog that he's uncomfortable. That will in time start to build his confidence as well. And that's where you'll see that slow shift from it being that to the more curiosity we started to see kind of near the end and stuff, you know? So I want to do this one more time with him next week.
Okay.
Just to kind of see what kind of progress we see from this week to next week.
What
and
do
then
you need me to do in the interim?
in between,
Just
nothing.
basic Home Depot.
Yeah, keep doing your commands and all that kind of stuff. You know, if there's any issues you're having with any of that kind of stuff, obviously let me know. But
He's been actually really good with
yeah, but from a training standpoint, just use your training.
Okay.
You know, but right now, I want to get him just a little further with the socialization stuff, because that was a good session for him today. So.
Much better than the first time we did.
Oh, 100%. You know, so he just needs to have that pushed a little bit more. Now, typically speaking, obviously I always talk about remove the human element, right? And that's a very important thing that we've done up until this point to help rehabilitate these two. And again, I'm not saying we're finished with the rehabilitation process. They've only been training with us for about a week out of like a very long program, but they went from seriously trying to fight each other to obviously little tenseness here and there, but no really bite attempts or anything like that. Now I'm starting to add it back in because ultimately they live in a house, right? They live together. There will be human interaction that gets thrown into the mix, and I have to know that if I sprinkle a little bit of it in here and there, that ultimately they're gonna know what to do with that, and that's not gonna be the deciding factor that tips everything over the edge. Brody, come here, bud. Good job, dude. I'm just adding in a little bit of interaction and stuff here. I'm still kind of following my general principle, which is I only interact with one dog at a time. So let's say Eddie tried to come over and butt his way into the mix right here. I would stop interacting then at that point. But you see, just this like close quarters attention and stuff like that, this would have been a massive fight just a week ago. This is huge progress. Good job, dude. And again, just more interactions and stuff that are happening here. It's a little tense, you know, there's a little bit of grumbling and growling and the dominance and stuff like that, but this is big time progress here. Very good. Good job, buddy. I'm getting your white hairs all over me. Brody. Brody. What's up, bud? Brody. Good job, dude. Good job. Sit. Come. Sit. Come. All right, last session here. Lucy, bed. Good. We're just gonna finish off Lucy's dinner here. Do a quick little high energy session. Okay. Work a couple bed stays and we'll get back into those downs trying to add that verbal cue in. Bed. Good. So now that we have, okay, her general leash communication taught, we know she knows how to move with that leash, we start layering in our commands into this. Bed. So obviously that would be our bed command. Good, which we already started this one a little bit with her. Okay. And then obviously that down as well. Bed. Oop. Good. Okay. Lucy, down. Good. No, down. Okay. Lucy, down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. All right, good end to the vlog there. Trained a bunch of board and trains here. A bunch of new dogs we haven't worked with, obviously. A really good socialization session. Also got some miscellaneous footage of Michelle working with a couple of dogs. Obviously building some confidence with Callie, one of our board and trains here, through using some tug. A little bit of outside work. I mean, we did a bunch of stuff today. So we're getting back into the groove here. Again, this is just my second day back here. Picking back up where we left off. New guy. He'll learn. He just got here today, I think. So picking back up where we left off, we'll see you guys in 2 days.